as part of the core of what I do on a day-to-day basis. So I'm, of course, running a for-profit business, but giving is one of the tenets of the company. So in addition to being a member of 1% for the Planet, which means that we're contractually obliged to give 1% of our sales, I also started our own land conservation initiative called Ice Cream for Acres. So when somebody makes a purchase of Three Twins ice cream, they're also funding the purchase of a certain amount of land that corresponds with the type of package that you buy. So if you buy a pint of ice cream, you fund the purchase of no less than 6 square feet of land. If you buy a quart, it's 10 square feet. So it's a fun little giving model that's tied in. That means that every day that we go forward, we're also we're buying land through a nonprofit to perpetually protect it and protect the species that are part of it. So
now there are so many different ways that you could have really funneled your charity efforts in. Why focus on land?
Land, I think, is something that everybody can agree on, that land is a good thing. Sorry, I don't know if I keep disappearing, but my girlfriend's trying to call me on WhatsApp. It's very strange.
Hi, I'm, helping change makers around the world right now. Be back in a half hour.
Land is something that's largely apolitical. I think most people, maybe not some of the people running for president on the Republican side, but I think most people can agree that protecting land is a good idea and that we should probably do more of it while we can. So the thought is it's something largely apolitical as far as giving money to environmental causes, giving to lobbying, giving to certain types of education might prove to be more controversial. But buying land, I think, is impactful. It is, in theory, perpetual. And it's something that the mass market can agree is a good idea. So those are the main reasons. Plus, from the marketing perspective, and there's no altruism in corporate giving. It's all ultimately marketing, unless we do it anonymously, which we choose not to, because you want the world to know that you're doing good and inspire others to do the same, and hopefully inspire people to buy your product so that you can have more impact. Land is something with the giving model that we can kind of wrap it up in a nice little package and communicate it cleanly to the world.
Oh, I love what you were saying with that. Now, I'd love to dive into the specific impacts that you're doing with this giving. Are you doing it through a different partnership? Are you setting a line, purchasing and conserving land on your own? What are the fundamentals of this program?
Yeah, there's two sides of the giving. One is through 1% for the Planet, and under that umbrella, we give through Ice Cream for Acres, as well as supporting other local land trusts and other nonprofits that are more in our kind of in our backyard. But the Ice Cream for Acres, all of the giving is currently performed through one nonprofit out of Austin called Global Wildlife Conservation. And their whole charter is to buy land to protect species. And then they either act as the stewards of that land or they turn it over to local authorities. So it's impactful. We've worked with them for years. They have scientists on staff. They do great work. They really deeply care and think about the lands that they purchase in order to maximize the impact. So, I'm not going out and buying land. I wouldn't know what to do with that.
You're running an ice cream company. I mean, that's a pretty, big job.
Yeah, the company owns an acre of land, but that's in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, where we have our factory. Other
Sheboygan.
than that,
Oh, great. I really want to dive back into those first starting years when you were getting out and you were the founding twin.
I am the founding twin.
You are the founding twin.
If I get fired someday, they can never take that job away from me.
You were doing 90-hour weeks.
Yes.
I'm kind of curious, going through AmeriCorps myself, those were long, long days. Was there a lot of parallel between, the work of doing your Peace Corps service and those long initial starting days?
No, because anybody that's been through Peace Corps knows there's a lot of downtime. I've never read more books in my life than those 8 months that I was in Peace Corps. I think I read something like 40 or 50 books.
That's a lot of books in 8 months.
Yeah, I mean, you can only study so much Moroccan Arabic before you start to lose your mind. So, and so much of the time that I was there was the training period. So I would not say that there are parallels at all. I think the only parallel that I would see would be the need to be patient, because Peace Corps
Mhm.
is definitely an exercise in patience and going through training, taking the time that it takes to learn the language and learn about the problems. I was a small business volunteer, so working with locals in their language, trying to figure out what the problems were, excuse me, trying to figure out what the problems were and how I might be able to help. And that's the parallel with running a small business, is that it takes a long time. It's a lot of work, and it always takes a long time. And a lot of it is that patience to let things develop, to let the market develop organically, to figure things out, find solutions, to develop new products, to get funding, all those
To make
things.
a profit. Now, it was actually quite a while before you started making profits in this company. What kept you going?
We're still not profitable, actually, but shh, don't tell anyone.
Our
No,
secret.
growing a small consumer packaged goods company at a fast rate is very expensive. And
Mhm.
the segment that we're in, organic dairy, is very competitive because we're competing with Ben and Jerry's and Haagen-Dazs. So we have to try to have a product at a reasonable price that has input costs that are twice as much as the big guys have. So it's very challenging. We're always kind of close to profitability, but never quite get there. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because it's about the balance of price positioning, scale. As we get bigger and bigger, of course, we get closer to profitability. But that's actually it's not entirely uncommon for companies at our scale, smaller, bigger, to not make money. I was talking with one of the founders of Chipotle a year or two ago, and I think he said they didn't make any money until they had something like 200 stores. And I know Honest Tea never made money until they were bought by Coke. So a lot of us that are in this game of running small businesses that we hope to make into big businesses really put sales first. You want to develop that market share, develop the following, and show the worth of the brand, much more so than you need to make profits and spit off cash.
Well, kind of going off a tangent of there, how do you get the customers? And how do you kind of build that following? What was really successful for you guys?
I think the key in any market is an age-old formula. It's making a great product at a fair price. So having delicious ice cream is a good start, but it's not just that. Um, you need to have attractive packaging. It helps to have a story. In our case, we give back, as we discussed earlier. We have a really cool barcode. It's shaped like an ice cream cone, and it makes people smile. Um, it's all of those things really add up to build
Mhm.
a brand. A brand is a set of attributes, and you hope that you position your brand so that it reaches the customers that you want to reach. And in our case, we're trying to go not just for the niche, like, hippy dippy ice cream consumer that drives Prius, but we're trying to get the people that drive Hummers as well, and we're trying the greater set of people that drive taste buds, trying to get people to incorporate more organic into their diets by buying inconceivably delicious organic ice cream.
Inconceivably delicious. That's my new favorite term. And it really drives home.
Careful how you use it.
Got it. Got it. It's only when describing Three Twins ice cream. That's the only time I need to.
Kidding.
Go ahead.
I'm kidding, of course.
um, One of the things I really am curious about is the standards for organic. A lot of times people use that just kind of nonchalantly. What are the measures that you guys use to define and really say our product is organic?
We adhere to the USDA National Organic Program. All of our products that we sell are certified organic. And that means that at least 95% of their ingredients by weight are organic. And if there are any non-organic ingredients, it means that they adhere to a list that's part of the National Organic Program that's acceptable non-organic ingredients. So in our case, every single individual ingredient that we put in is organic. There are a couple exceptions to that in a couple ingredients that we use that are certified organic, they have sub-ingredients that are not organic. But I'd say by weight, our ice cream is probably 99.8% organic. So we're sticklers to it. I don't believe in having an organic line and non-organic line as some companies do. I think that in our case, we just have to be organic to the core. And that's exactly what we are.
Organic to the core. Now, starting out in organic, you had no background in ice cream. What brought this idea of bringing ice cream to the market, particularly this emphasis on organic?
Yeah, I mean, ice cream is not exactly the most, excuse me, ice cream is not exactly the most difficult thing to learn. It's not like deciding, I'm going to get into brain surgery. I'm just going to kind of start with a small little brain surgery shop and grow from there. I mean, if you put enough fat and sugar in something, it's going to be delicious. So I had to learn the fundamentals and then had a lot of on-the-job training. But ice cream was something that I could start really small in the form of one little scoop shop that I started with about $70,000 and a $25,000 loan from the Bank of Mom and Dad, which are great.
Such a reliable bank.
Very forgiving repayment schedule. So it's something I could start small. It was something that I could make organic and really appeal to the masses. This was, of course, about 11 years ago when I started working on this. So green products were starting to come into trend or fad or whatever they were. But the problem with a lot of green products is that they really appeal to a niche. That's when the Prius came out. And at the time, it appealed to a very small percentage of people who kind of wanted that green cred. And same thing with like sustainable hardwoods. Like they just appeal to a really small niche because in the case of sustainable wood, the main benefit is you really get like a warm, fuzzy feeling, let's say. And if you're not the person that makes that purchase, it's hard to really understand the difference between the two products. But with food, by buying organic ingredients and not mucking them up, you end up with a really delicious product. So there's precedent out there, of course, that people are willing to pay more money for better tasting food products. So it was kind of a head fake in that it's really selling great ice cream that happened to be organic. And with that, we were able to appeal to a much, much broader piece of the marketplace.
And you really keep on driving home that point. And it's something that so many social entrepreneurs forget is that you really have to have a great product to also be able to sell all the good components of it. If you don't have that quality product, your business model is just not going to last.
Exactly. I mean, there's a lot of organic ice cream out there that's just not very good. And maybe it's not very good because it doesn't taste great, but maybe it's not very good because the packaging is terrible. Or maybe it's not very good because there's no story behind it. There's a lot of ways to not be good. And just because something tastes great, it's not necessarily going to sell.
So we had a really great question from Benjamin Conrad. I'd love to hear about Three Twins' commitment to fair trade. I understand you have had some varieties using fair trade certified ingredients.
We do. So I think it was about 3 years ago, we launched the first ever organic fair trade ice cream with our fair trade vanilla bean. And we have, over the next 3 years, we increased with SKUs of additional flavors of pints as well as quarts. And then we also transitioned all of our chocolates, all of our cocoa to fair trade chocolate. So we made our bittersweet fair trade, including fair trade cocoa, fair trade sugar, and fair trade vanilla. It's something we're still interested in doing more of. It is challenging though, because if you look at the subset of companies that offer organic ingredients, the ones that offer organic fair trade ingredients in bulk, it just really limits your ability to source. And as we become bigger and bigger, that becomes more and more important because we of course have to have enough ingredients to make the products. And there are cost concerns as well, because like I said earlier, we're not making money yet. And so it's a balance between trying to do more and do things that make your product better, but also more expensive, yet maintaining your positioning. So we're selling more and more fair trade every year. We've launched ice cream sandwiches last year, which I wanted to make fair trade. And we were under the impression from the cookie manufacturer that would be a possibility. And then at the last minute, they said, oh no, they're not fair trade. And it had to completely scrap packaging and go back to square one. So we've also hit roadblocks in trying to do more fair trade. So it's a balance. It's something we'd like to do more of when we launch more pint flavors in the future. I'm sure we will make them fair trade, but it's tough. Like last year, we launched our banana nut confetti, which we wanted to do fair trade, but we couldn't find processed organic fair trade bananas in the quantities that we would need, and at prices that would be, within an acceptable range.
Having been in this space for over the last decade, have you been seeing it become more and more options become available to source from fair trade and meet those requirements?
Absolutely. I mean, 10 years ago when I started, there was almost no fair trade on the market other than some cocoa and some coffee, maybe some vanilla. So it is moving along. I mean, when we first started offering the fair trade vanilla bean, which I believe was 2012, there was no organic fair trade vanilla extract on the market. So we had our vanilla manufacturer make us a custom batch, and now they're offering that same formulation to a number of other companies, and they're just as of this year launching this. It's Nielsen Massey, which sells to Williams Sonoma and a bunch of other places. They just let us know today that they're launching a retail line of organic fair trade vanilla. So it's kind of a cool story of us inspiring them to do it or demanding that they do it in order to keep our business. And then they realize what opportunity it has out there. So there is more and more out there. It's still challenging to source organic fair trade. Sourcing organic has been really exciting to see how it's come along, because 10 years ago, the ingredients were far more limited than they were. And of course, we were making about 1/100th of the ice cream that we're making now. And some ingredients were hard to source, like organic chocolate cookie dough. I couldn't get anybody to make it for 8 years, and then or so. And then last year, we were finally at a big enough scale, and I think the market had moved far enough along that companies are realizing that organic's here to stay, and they should invest in certification. We're finally able to launch the first ever organic chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream.
Well, and also it really drives home the impact that even your purchasing power has. That as you grow, you can also come to the market and say, we have this proven history, we have the customers, and we have the purchasing power to say, we need this product, and let's figure out how do we make it.
Absolutely. That's been really satisfying. Like the same thing with we launched cherry chocolate chunk this past year. We had to have a custom cherry base made that 5 years ago, nobody would have worked with us for something like that. But, since we're a relatively big company, it's moving along, and we can have those things sourced.
Great. So I just had a really cool comment I wanted to share with you. Mindy Steven, oh my gosh, I found a store near me. Once my vegan challenge is over, I am celebrating with some Three Twins ice cream. I think I want to come celebrate with you, especially since you're in Orange County. One of the other questions that we had was, can you tell us about some of the early years and some of that really starting time with Three Twins ice cream?
Yeah, I mean, the early years, it was just me. And that's why one of the reasons I use the title founding twin, I use it with pride. The other two twins have real jobs, so they're not involved in the ice cream business. And it's a huge amount of work. And it was unproven. I mean, it was week after week, month after month, year after year of not knowing whether or not I would actually get the company to the point where it felt like it was going to stick around. You always kind of feel like you're teetering on the edge. And, nobody knew who Three Twins were 10 years ago. So it was this one little scoop shop in a tucked away location, and just really kind of hustling, trying to make it work. So because the location was so bad, I had to get outside those four walls and sell ice cream to restaurants, sell at farmers markets. I started doing hand-packed pints. And with that really started to spread the company's wings and see the potential that it had. In many ways, it still feels like those early days. I mean, we're still hustling. We're still trying to get to that point where the company is truly sustainable, get to the point where we can make a little money, where we can compete head to head with Ben and Jerry's and Haagen-Dazs and have the same kind of sell-throughs that they have at big stores like Safeway or Target or others. But it's great. It's very satisfying to go through life as Ice Cream Man. It's opened up amazing opportunities in my life, and it's so satisfying to build a company that employees generally enjoy working for, and then a company that brings inconceivable deliciousness to literally millions of mouths per year. So I'm very lucky.
Since you kind of touched a little bit on what you're hoping for the future and definitely to grow the company, but with 2016 particularly, any exciting things you guys have on the horizon?
We are launching a new product category, which will be
Ooh.
complement to ice cream that's not refrigerated. So we're excited to have something that we don't have to worry about melting. Can't really think. And then we're launching a first ever organic ice cream product. It's never been done. It's a pretty common product, let's say, that's really delicious and convenient, but it's never been done in organic before. So we'll be launching those at Natural Products Expo West this year. So that's exciting. I also did something that I can't speak about, but it's probably going
So
to
much secrecy.
There's a lot of secrecy. There's a lot of contracts out there, but I did something last year that is probably going to be announced tomorrow, actually, which I think is going to potentially bring a lot more visibility to Three Twins throughout the country. So
how do we learn about this tomorrow? You have my attention.
Check out my Twitter.
All right, we'll be following you on Twitter. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so before we let you go today, I have to know, what is your favorite flavor of this inconceivably delicious ice cream that you've created?
So actually, I want to respond to Hannah first while I see her comment. No, it's not ice cream that doesn't melt. It's something that goes with ice cream, potentially a serving vessel for ice cream. Ice cream that doesn't melt does exist. It's called freeze-dried ice cream, but I don't think the world's ready for organic freeze-dried ice cream yet. My favorite flavor, that's a funny question, because believe it or not, I actually don't eat much ice cream.
No, because that's not the biggest perk of owning an ice cream company.
It's one of them, but I get more satisfaction like sharing it with the world than sitting around my office and eating ice cream all day. But there's different flavors that I'm proud of for different reasons. The lemon cookie is one that people just go absolutely nuts over. I think it's our most tweeted and Facebooked about flavor. I'm proud that we have the first ever organic fair trade ice cream flavors, like the vanilla and now the bittersweet, the chocolate malt, and a few more. I'm proud that we have things like mint confetti that we do just slightly differently than everybody else, but to put our own twist on. But I think the flavor that I'm probably most proud of would be our cookies and cream. Most cookies and cream ice cream is really just plain ice cream with cookies. Ours is our full Madagascar vanilla base, which we then liquefy cookies into the base and then put chunks on top of that. So it's like flavor on top of flavor on top of flavor. And it's really great. And it's great not just because we're making it organic or putting a pretty green label on it, but it's great from the ground up, from the design. So I'm proud that we're doing more than just greenwashing ice cream. We're actually making things in different ways that make for better products.
Oh, well, Neal, you have been an absolutely incredible guest today. And thank you so much for joining. We are all set for the next session. So we will be following your Twitter account like crazy tomorrow to hear about this.
I don't know for sure if it's coming out, but that's the rumor. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. So we're just going to stalk you for days on end is what I'm hearing.
Thanks for tuning in.
All right.